Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Fratello Talks. I'm your host, Nacho, and today I'm joined by
RJ
and
Lex.
We're going to be talking about the vast array of new releases from LVMH Watch Week. Obviously, we're looking at it a week later, but to us, the releases have just come out as we're recording this. But there's a lot to talk through. But of course, before we do that, let's get into wrist check. RJ, what is on your wrist?
I'm wearing my yellow gold Speedmaster.
Very nice, perfect. Just a casual Wednesday morning.
Casual
watch.
Wednesday morning watch. Yeah.
Perfect. And
So nice.
Lex, what is on your wrist?
I
On the
was
same
also,
level,
I was
more or
also
less.
wearing a Speedmaster. I was wearing my replica relaunch, but then I spotted this little white gem on the wrist of Matthijs, who was recording this, and I thought it would look nice in the.
It's a white sweater banger.
Yeah, exactly. Look,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's not exactly the same shade, but
Yeah,
it was really
there.
nice with
It'll
my
get there.
blue nail.
Oh my god! Yeah, you stole the cameraman's watch. That's you can't do that, man. That's
But did the
Well-
cameraman stole your watch?
Yeah,
should.
he did actually.
Okay.
okay.
He's
perfect.
leaving.
Then it was a
Fair
fair
trade.
exchange. All right, yeah, and I'm wearing my Seamaster, my reference 2254, the Seamaster 300M, and I'm wearing it on this mesh bracelet from Arrowway Modular Bracelets, which is it's been on it for quite a while. I'm kind of testing it out to do a little bit of a review of the mesh bracelet, checking it out as an alternative to some of the OEM options, and obviously it's a little bit reminiscent of the recently
A little bit.
introduced by Daniel Craig a few months early, and then by Omega a few months later. But obviously with the sword hands of the 2254. So
Can I see the thickness of the?
of the what? Here you go.
Yeah,
It's all yours.
Yeah,
You know
think
how
about
they
it.
call that watch in Germany?
Oh, I do.
Meermeister.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the Schwerty. I know that in the German
yeah.
forums they call it the Schwerti
Schwerti.
because of the sword hands.
Yeah.
Schwert being German for sword. But
This looks a bit like a scratch magnet, but I do
all
like
bracelet
the
clasps or scratch magnets.
true, but because it's so large and so.
Yeah, true.
But I have a bit of an issue with the mesh bracelet that Omega puts on the
this
the
model.
Seama- on the
Oh yeah, with the
Seamaster.
overlapping meshes.
it's. I think
Yeah.
it's a bit difficult to wear.
Yeah.
It's a little bit thick and everything. It's a little bit like a.
There's quite a lot of material at
overconstruction
the,
and,
at
it's
the
a
piece
lot
of the clasp.
material.
There's the two layers
Yes.
and the clasp and everything, and it's a
like
little bit much.
three-layer
But,
thing. Yeah. So
but we'll see. Yeah, I'm testing this out. I'm planning on doing a bit of a hands-on review of it for people
It
who,
looks good.
who want to know more about it. And but let's get on with the,
Oh,
with the
sorry.
topic. Enough about
Yeah,
my watch.
damn it.
Take
Let's
a
get on with the
compliment,
topic.
damn it.
LVMH, they released a lot of watches.
Did
Well,
they?
Thank you for the compliment. Yes, they released many
Yeah,
watches.
that's a
A
lot.
lot of brands came together. RJ, you were supposed to be there. It was supposed to be in LA.
Yeah, but
and
somehow it
then-
was cancelled.
Yes, unfortunately, there was a
Yeah, so LA, it should take place in LA,
Unfortunate
but of course it
situation.
has been cancelled because of the fires.
Yeah.
And now, I think for US market, they did the event now in New York as we record.
Yeah.
And next week, I don't know when this podcast will come out, but I guess next week.
in that week.
Yeah, you'll probably be on your way to Paris.
No, I'm already there. Yeah, on my way.
Yeah.
So it's next week for us. So at the time when this podcast will go live, it's in Paris. But yeah, all the releases are out. So the events are just there to show the watches in
It's
the
a
flesh.
little bit moutarde après le repas.
Yeah,
exactly.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And we also had to watch most of the watches. We had them here already.
Yeah.
And for the Louis Vuitton and Daniel Roth releases, I went to Geneva with Max, our photographer, and the video guy, Matthijs.
Who's no longer here because
he
he
left
ran
with your
off
watch.
with my
Headed for the
Speedmaster.
border.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, there's a nice video that you guys put together there that we can link to and maybe put a
Yeah.
clip of it
Good idea.
over the podcast
Yeah.
or not. I don't know. We can
Yeah.
see. But I think people should also check that out because it's quite a great overview of the Louis Vuitton, the new Louis Vuitton timepieces.
Yeah.
Should we start with Louis Vuitton then?
Yeah.
And have a look at what they've released?
Mhm.
Perfect.
So it's Louis Vuitton. They have basically two new models, Convergence in two different versions.
Yeah.
And Teiko spin time, so the tambour Teiko spin
Yeah.
time. Teiko refers to the large Japanese drums
Right.
because of the case shape.
Mhm.
And basically it's the same case shape as the tambour that came out in 2023, but now they have lugs to fit a strap. I think they
Right,
did a very
yeah.
nice job on the design.
Yeah.
Of that new model, so the spin time, Teiko spin time, there are 6 references.
Okay.
There are two in 39.5 millimeters, like time only.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the spin time air that is a bit bigger, and the spinning cubes, they have a bit more space. Those are 42.5.
Okay.
And I think the cream of the crop is the tourbillon, central flying tourbillon.
Yeah.
Really beautiful watches. For me, I think the
Made in Meran, in their manufacturer.
yeah, La Fabrique du Temps, they're all made. Also the cases are made there now. And the dials. My favorite is the Teiko spin time, the 39.5 millimeter with just the spinning cubes and the minute hand. There are two versions of that. One is with diamonds in the case. The other one doesn't have that, but the version with the diamonds has a hawk eye dial.
Oh wow!
It's really, really beautiful. And the version without diamonds has, I think, like sunburst finish. But I prefer the Hawkeye dial, but I don't want the diamonds. So if they could swap that out, that would be awesome.
Sounds like it's time for a piece unique.
Because the person who now buys the one with the diamonds,
I
has
think
all
it's
the
just
fun.
a few calls away that wish.
Yeah,
but
I think that's doable.
all limited editions. But yeah, beautiful watches, I have to say. But the Convergence is also really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I only saw the one without the precious stones in the flash, so the gold one.
Yeah.
But what I really liked, what they showed at La Fabrique du Temps, is the Daniel Roth extra plat.
The extra plat.
Subscription.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is nice.
Really impressive.
Yeah.
A great
Yeah.
follow-up to the tourbillon model that we saw during Geneva Watch
So
Days.
that was basically the first model of the new Daniel Roth, and it was also the first model that Daniel Roth did in '89.
Yeah.
Then in '99 he did an extra plat, and that's the one they also now do as the second release, as a subscription first, 20 watches only. Then at some point it will be also in the regular catalog. But I think it's really cool, and I think the regular version will have a transparent case back, like they did with the tourbillon.
Yeah.
Right, of course.
But this version has a closed case back. But it's really a beautiful watch.
Yeah, because of the Celita movement, of course.
Exactly. Now they can still work a little bit on it.
Yeah. What is the size a little bit different to the tourbillon, or is it exactly the same?
No, I think it's more or less the same. Perhaps the one is a bit thicker than the other one, but it's a very modest size.
Yeah.
I think the width is 33 points. I didn't write it down. 33 point something, and the length is 38.6 or something. Yeah. And the thickness is 7 point.
Yeah, that's
1 or
fantastic.
7.7. I don't know.
And
It's really nice on the wrist. I have to
The
say.
original is from 1990.
1990. So the tourbillon came in '89 and the extra plat in 1990.
It's interesting, right, to see. Now we have the famous re-editions of the 222 and the Polo, and now we also have re-editions of 1990s watches that people regard as classics. Yeah, which is
makes you feel old, eh?
I don't know if that's the right word, but now you mention it,
makes you feel vintage.
No, but
I was in primary school.
Yeah, but the 90s to me it sounds so still not that long ago.
No.
And also,
sounds like a
the 1990s were hardly the highlight of mechanical watch making.
No, but I think the Daniel Roth watches, he came from Breguet at the time. So it was very classic altogether.
Yeah. You mentioned Breguet, and of course, when you look at that, the Breguets from the pre-Daniel Roth era, which are arguably the nicest neo-vintage Breguet, the pre-Swatch group. How do you think that the people and especially Gregory Kiesling, who is now the CEO of Breguet, looks at what Daniel Roth is doing today? Because in a way, it also links to Breguet.
It does, because I wrote the article on the Daniel Roth, and I had the watch in my hands, on my wrist, and it really resembles wearing a Breguet because of the dial mainly. And it's also hand turned on this machine, guilloche, and it has a lot of similarities. Only
of course,
the
it's not round, but
of course the case shape is different, but
they exist in the same sort of thought space.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I'm not sure if I can say.
Remember,
I'm so glad I asked you
we don't
this.
edit this. I think if Breguet would be for sale, that it would already have been part of LVMH. But it isn't.
Oh yeah. No.
It's part of Swatch Group.
It's a very
Hayek
important.
owns it, and there's I think a strong emotional connection to the Hayek family. I do believe that Gregory Kissling has a big shoes to fill. Looking at the brand as such, and I think there are quick wins with Breguet.
Yeah,
and I think they should take a look at what they do with Daniel Roth.
Yeah,
I think in the end, of course, there needs to be some kind of new direction at Breguet. But I think there are also quick wins. I think one of these quick wins is creating smaller watches with yellow gold cases, white gold cases, rose gold cases with beautiful guilloche dials.
Look at what Daniel Roth did for Breguet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But those Breguet models are awesome.
Stunning.
And I think that they are quite relatively in demand these days. The Daniel Roth Breguets.
They're definitely coming up. Yeah.
So basically, the Daniel Roth is one of my favorites that comes from La Fabrique du Temps. But I also have to say, the Convergence is really nice.
Yeah. It's cool that they made it 37.
Yeah.
I think that the size they got it spot on with that.
Yeah, beautiful watch. I was able to try them all on, and I think I was positively surprised.
Yeah.
I think so was our video man.
He liked them.
Matthijs.
He was a fan.
Yeah,
he's nodding away. Back
he's
there.
nodding. Yeah,
Perfect.
He's back.
Yeah, I of the Louis Vuittons, I really liked of the Tycho. I liked the one. It was, I don't know if it's a world timer or a GMT, but I think that's a really cool way to use that complication with all the turning discs with the city names and everything.
Cubes,
I think it's a very signature thing for Louis Vuitton. They're known for their world timers. They've done all kinds of things in the past, and I think that this is a really great way to kind of nod to that, but in a different model. And it's just it's impressive stuff. I mean, they're talk about making an entrance with what they did with the tambour, and now with this sort of deluge of new watches, it's brilliant.
So I was wondering, I don't know how much time we have for the podcast, but I was wondering in the past what type of customer buys a Louis Vuitton watch? So I asked this question.
Oh, now I'm interested.
It was not an official answer, but
it
was not an official answer, so I'll loosely translate it. It's mainly bought by people who are into Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, that was what would have been
so
my
people
answer.
buy their suitcases
That's people inside the Louis Vuitton universe.
But they also said that the portion of people that was not a Louis Vuitton customer before buying Louis Vuitton watches is very much increasing. So that group that comes from watches rather than from Louis Vuitton luxury items.
Right.
And that's an interesting move, and I think that's also what they aim for.
That it becomes a gateway into the brand.
Yeah, that they make watches for watch people, for watch enthusiasts as well, I would say.
I think they're probably on the right track. I mean, looking at some of the things that they've been making lately, I mean...
they're really beautiful. And I see the comments on social media, on our website and other websites that, but who buys a Louis Vuitton? But that's because that's not a watch brand. But if you have been to La Fabrique du Temps, they prove you otherwise.
Look at Hermès.
Yeah, but how many people are able to visit La Fabrique?
No, that's exactly right. But I think there needs to be more exposure, more explaining on what they do and how they do it.
They can have a look at our video.
They really do proper watchmaking there.
Yeah,
they make their own dials, they make their own cases.
But that's not always a guarantee for success, of course. When you're a luxury brand and you can do that, you can still. I was referring to Hermès, who have been struggling for a long time to get their watchmaking under the attention, and it's changing. It's changing, but it took a long time.
They do truly impressive stuff, but there is always that sort of feeling of
it's the same with Chanel and Montblanc up to a point.
It's baggage that you carry with you.
But what's interesting with Louis Vuitton is that Daniel Roth they take seriously, but Louis Vuitton they say, but that's a fashion brand. It comes from the same factory.
Of course,
So quality-wise, I think both are really well done.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's like an initial perception that people might have before that they've educated themselves and that they've realized what is actually being done.
Yeah, and perhaps here it is that a brand name can really work against you.
Of course,
but there's baggage. There's baggage.
But
that's luggage in
luggage. There's luggage.
A lot of trunks. Yeah. True.
I don't think people see Louis Vuitton as a trunk or a luggage brand anymore.
No, they see it as a luxury brand. But I see some watch critics saying, "Oh, it's Louis Vuitton." They make
of course,
But they watch critics criticize everything. So
That's
what they
why
do.
yeah.
That's what they do.
their
That's what
job.
they do.
That's their job.
Cool. And then moving on to some of the other brands that presented new watches at LVMH Watch Week, some more, let's say, familiar brands in the names of
Tag Heuer.
watchmaking. Tag Heuer, Zenith, Hublot. Let's start with Tag Heuer. Lex, you gave us a bit of an overview.
There is a new glass box in purple, smoky purple,
Yeah.
which is that I don't think they call it a glass box anymore, but
It's
will
just a Carrera.
Yeah,
It
it's
might
a
be
it's a Carrera. We will call it a glass box because it's
It
a
was
glass box.
Very purple on the press release pictures, but in the
It's-
flesh,
yeah.
it was quite nice, I have to admit.
More subtle.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not too convinced about this model with a purple dial, but that's just a personal taste. But it's a 39 millimeters,
Yeah.
if I am correct, which was nice.
There's a tourbillon version of that.
Of course, there's a tourbillon version. They have that movement, so
Yeah.
they will stick it into everything. So,
Yeah.
so there's that, and then there's something together with Porsche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Nice mechanism it has.
yeah,
I like that.
there is
It's kind of
it,
full, but
it's yeah. The thing is, I really like the idea,
Yeah.
but the execution is not really matching the idea and the design, because it goes so it the
let's
idea
explain,
is
yeah.
that you start your the chronograph and then the first 9.1 seconds, or there's also a rally version that is a little bit faster, about 8.4 seconds. The chronograph hand moves half the speed that it would normally do. Because the idea is the relating car, the 911, the first one went from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 9.1 seconds. And there was also a rally version that was lighter and a little bit faster, 8.4. So they kind of highlight that on a scale.
so not a modern 911 people.
No,
No.
no, definitely not. So they wanted to visualize that by having a second hand that would
Yeah.
move in a at a slower speed. The only thing is, so they came up with a mechanism that does that. It's like a swan neck kind of construction. But what you can see on the dial is that like the first half of the dial is 15 seconds, and then it goes to 60. So what they've done, it moves half the speed, but it won't speed up after the 9.1. It will wait after the 15, and then it will catch up. So it's a little bit, okay, they cut it in half, and then so I get it from a technical perspective. That is probably manageable. The 9.1 or 8.4 is not manageable.
Yeah.
So I like the idea, but being a critic, you also have to look into, okay, it's...
How cool are you going to be explaining that to someone sitting next to you at the
That's
bar?
the whole-
You're going to be the obnoxious guy who's like, look, when I press the button, it actually it speeds up like the port. Yeah, it's a bit, but I think it's cool, like you say, in theory and seeing it, but
So
practically.
okay, so it's that. So it's but I have to say that the look of the watch is nice, and I do appreciate
That's a little bit of a wax nose.
It's yeah. So, but I think the most important launch was 5 Formula One models equipped with
Updating
the mechanical caliber 16 movement. So there's 4 regular models and 1 Red Bull Oracle blue one. Is there in titanium, either like a grade 2 titanium, like a normal finish, and then there's the black ones. 44 millimeters. With a case design that kind of mimics the nose, the front of the current Formula One cars.
Right.
Different colors, very Formula One themed. Also priced at, now I have to, they are
Around 5K, I think.
4,
right?
4.6, 4.8, and 5.4 for the Red Bull one. I remember the first Formula One Tag Heuers. I think for many people that was a gateway into luxury watchmaking. It put them on the right track, so to speak. Calling a 4.6 euro, 4,600 euro watch a gateway watch is a bit rich, but I'm quite sure that Tag Heuer has done their marketing and market research. Yeah.
For a mechanical chronograph within their collection, it does come in, well below the Carreras, and therefore
it's a titanium case.
Yeah.
It's not a bad watch. It's. I don't mind big watches, but this one is a little bit big.
It's not that long. That's
But it wears quite
the
nicely,
lug to lug.
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it has very short lugs.
Sort of,
So it is it is
integrated,
wearable, but it's also
hooded.
big. But I also get it because I think they still positioned it as a gateway watch, and I also think that people who buy something like that also want something substantial.
And you still can get quartz ones, right? Right, the Formula One quartz models. I think so.
I don't know actually.
There might still be a range of them still
Are there
available. I don't know
still-
if they've had the same case update.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it might be something that they do.
No,
that-
I don't-
I didn't
don't
see this
think
coming,
so.
to be honest. I expected something like the Tag Heuer Kith
Yeah,
collab.
Right.
yeah.
Because those mimic
The little Formula One
those Formula
divers,
One watches from the
Exactly,
80s.
exactly. So and so this has nothing to do with that.
No,
No,
it's a totally different
No,
watch.
it's completely different.
It's like a next step in the evolution arc
Yeah.
that the Formula One had been on since
Yeah.
then, essentially. I
Yeah.
mean, when
Yeah.
you look at the previous model, which had more traditional round pushers, you see how this is clearly a step in a more sort of technical, harsher lines, like more angles and a little bit of the
very
inspiration from the front wing of the Red Bull car. It's an evolution from that, and I
Okay.
think that for that crowd who
Yeah.
were interested in the previous models, this will seem like an upgrade.
Here's a thought.
Oh.
I think this watch is also aimed at people who are fan of Formula One or following Formula One. I think it has become a huge sport. Meanwhile,
Definitely.
I think there's so many millions, hundreds of millions, perhaps even over a billion people follow Formula One or they watch Formula One. So that's much bigger than the people in the watch bubble. And
Yeah,
I think people outside the watch bubble, if you look around you, you see a lot of smartwatches, right? From Samsung, from all sorts of Android watches, Apple watches. Those are big as well. So I perhaps that audience is not bothered by a 44 millimeter watch because that's what they are wearing right now as well with a digital display.
Also, a Tag Heuer, of course, has the smartwatch, which is also, I think, very much in touch with the current Formula One audience. But if I look at, of course, starting this season, LVMH and Tag Heuer now is official timekeeper for Formula One, so they'll be everywhere. So I can see a middle-aged boomer wearing a Red Bull shirt in the supermarket,
And a cap.
wearing a cap, and
the Puma shoes.
wearing that watch, but definitely. But I also think that when you can afford a ticket to go to, I don't know, the Las Vegas Grand Prix or whatever, you can probably also afford the matching watch. So it's also a little bit of merch in a way. It's expensive merch, but it's merch. And as you said, there's going to be so much exposure. It's going to be so big.
And it's still the one that's called Formula One. It's to
Exactly.
us watch enthusiasts who know the history, who know everything.
Hey.
Maybe not everything, but we know a lot. You have the Carrera, which is obviously to us more appealing. You have the Monaco, which when you understand the history,
very
of it,
niche, yeah.
it's very niche, but you might even find it more charming. And then the Formula One is more like it's a crowd pleaser. It's there
and
for
it's like a sneaker. It's call it like a sneaker. So it's a very it's a colorful piece of kit you're wearing. So so I get
think
it.
it'll do well. I think it'll do well with the Formula One crowd, and that's a big
Yeah.
crowd, like you said. And it's there'll definitely be people who
If you
go
could
for
pick any Tag Heuer or Heuer, which one would you pick?
Or Heuer, so that means
Or Heuer.
going like
Can
vintage.
I also pick from Neo Vintage
Or Heuer, yeah.
a Silverstone?
Oh, nice.
You, Nacho?
I would. So for me, it's either just a classic 2 or 3 register Carrera, like a Panda or reverse Panda from the '60s, or potentially going with the circuit named watches, the Heuer Jarama.
Oh yeah, the Jarama.
Which is nice because it's a circuit I drove past a lot in my childhood.
It's out of
leaving
Madrid, outside
and,
Madrid, right?
just outside Madrid. You see it sometimes when you're landing into Madrid airport, and I think it's cool that that it's a very small circuit. It's nothing too special. It was a big motorcycle circuit as well, but I think that's a really cool one as well. Yeah. Either one.
What would you pick?
Either the Heuer Daytona or the Heuer Kentucky. The Heuer Daytona
Oh.
was, the Kentucky as well with the integrated bracelet.
Mhm.
It's super cool. But I also have to say, for fun's sake, the Tag Heuer Senna with the analog digital dial.
That's a cool one.
leather strap. It's so tacky, but it's
very
fun.
90s.
It's very
It's
90s.
very 90s.
I really hope that they. Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to wait until watch.
It's the start of it, right? It's the start of the Formula One Tag Heuer reign.
They're gonna
over
milk
Formula
it.
One. I think
And they
we'll
should.
see a lot. We'll see a lot.
Of course,
Yeah,
they
they
should.
should.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Yeah, of course. They invested. Now
I don't
made
see them
some
coming
money.
back with the analog digital because I think that would be problematic.
No,
And not a
no,
lot
I
of
also don't.
there's not a lot of movements
No,
being
exactly.
made that way. So
Yeah.
Hey,
Citizen
but
has
you
a
could
couple, but-
put a smartwatch movement inside, and you can put the
You can
screen.
replicate the original
the
dial.
screen
True.
can
True. Yeah.
mimic it.
Tip.
Ooh, cool. Okay,
All right, so
that was
moving
Tag
on
Heuer.
then from Tag Heuer, should we head to Zenith or should we head to Hublot?
No, you do Zenith.
Let's do Zenith?
Otherwise
Okay,
it will-
perfect. So for Zenith, we had the Defy Skyline chronograph skeleton.
Yeah.
There were two of them, I believe a blue one and a black one. And that was it's one where you kind of had to look twice at it and go, didn't we have this already?
Yeah.
But it's actually
little
just the evolution of the Defy Skyline series.
Yeah.
We've had the chronograph without skeletonization. Now we have it with skeletonization. And obviously with Zenith, it's a great looking
A
watch.
little pen
and,
accident happening
Yeah, a
over
little
there.
pen accident
you're,
happened here.
leaking ink there. No, but it's so that's kind of like completing the range. It feels like so now there's a skeletonized option for the Defy Skyline chronograph, and then we also had a Chronomaster Sport Rainbow, an 18 karat white gold with a lot of colorful stones in the bezel. So
Should be a watch for Paul Elstock.
No, it's a hell of a watch, and not
It's above
exactly
100K.
my cup
Yeah.
of tea, but it's an impressive thing nonetheless. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
it's got the wow factor.
Hmm.
Lex, I understand you're a resident Hublot expert.
Yeah. So there's two novelties. There's a green monster executed in Saxim.
Yes.
And Saxim is a sort of a sapphire, semi-transparent with a tourbillon. It's very Hublot. It's very flashy. So
They've played with the material before.
that's that. They have it's impressive. But I think that the 42 millimeter Big Bang Mecha 10, which you can get in titanium, in king gold, and in a
Carbon.
carbon.
Right? Yeah.
It's a special. It's almost. It looks like forged carbon, but they gave it a different name. The name eludes me now. That's a little bit sad.
Read the article. It's
Yeah.
in there.
I wrote it. But I think it's a good looking watch. Also because of the the Mecha 10, the Mecha is the movement is constructed almost like a Meccano piece of like a Meccano kit.
Right.
It first came out in 2016. Now they redone the movement, and of course they made a smaller case. I think it looks nice. It has a nice power reserve indication that also works like with a rack. So it just works differently. I think it looks nice. The problem with Hublot is that it also it's not like a Louis Vuitton, but watch fans and watch critics often.
There's some baggage.
Yeah.
There's also some baggage.
It's
Yeah,
not
but-
always justified.
No,
I feel.
I-
It's easy to make fun of Hublot, and
Yeah.
it's also fun
ver-
sometimes.
And
But I don't
sometimes
think
you-
it's always deserved
No,
because I've been to Hublot a couple of times, and I think what they do in the manufacture is quite impressive.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They create their own sapphire. They they have some alloys that they're doing themselves. So it's
So yeah, you can make fun of them, drive over them with a car, make fun, and haha, and I get it.
Yeah,
I think it's more the crowd of people.
It's perhaps it's just not a brand for the watch enthusiast or watch critic.
yeah. But if
It's
you look
definitely not a bad watch.
but it's a great movement. It's a unique looking movement. It's really
Yeah.
nice. It's 42 millimeters, so it's wearable. Yes, it looks like a Big Bang. But can we please get over the fact that it once tried to look like an offshore?
Right.
It has evolved. The quality of the cases is
Also evolved.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
At the beginning, they were quite harsh and sharp, and it was not
Yeah.
it was not the best. Definitely not anymore. like a flashy carbon, or it's not for everyone, or sapphire. But hey, the titanium one looks like a proper watch.
It's impressive watchmaking,
It's
and whether or not you like
absolutely-
it, or whether or not you've kind of bought into the memes around the brand, which probably center more around the types of people who once upon a time were the big target audience. Whatever. I mean, in the end, we can appreciate it, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
There were also 3 new Spirit of Big Bang, not new.
I chose
model
not
per
to look
se,
at them.
but yeah, they were just new colorways. So one in light
Sometimes
blue,
you just also have to protect yourself. I like Hublot,
It's
but
just
there's
new colors.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just new
exactly.
colors.
The
It's just
Spirit
a
of
tan
Big Bang
one,
is
a dark green one, and
okay.
and a
I'm
baby
glad.
blue
I'm
one.
glad. I'm glad.
That's as much as
yeah.
that's as much as you'll get
Yeah,
to.
but
to see
the
from
Big
those.
Bang Mecha 10 in 42 millimeters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
nice.
agree. Not bad.
Nice,
on Lexus
nice,
wish
nice.
list. Perfect.
Zenith, Heuer, Hublot, Louis Vuitton, Daniel Roth. We miss Tiffany & Co.
What?
And what is it, L'Épée? The
Oh,
mechanical.
Yeah, of course they're in
what do you
the
call these things?
LVMH.
The automaton
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
cool. They're
yeah.
clocks and
clocks
everything.
and
huh?
stuff.
Yeah.
They're also exhibiting. I saw something Tiffany & Co. But I was
It's,
so many diamonds I couldn't see the watch.
It's a lot of diamonds. There's there's a matching ring. That's what I saw as well. But that's
G-Shock did a matching ring.
G-Shock did a matching ring.
Yeah.
so they're following in
119
the
euros, man.
footsteps of the Japanese watchmaker. I also saw that there was a Gerald Genta,
Oh
or
yeah.
a Gentissima.
Yeah.
An
Oh yeah,
Ursan,
yeah.
Ursan with a fire opal
Yeah.
dial and,
Yeah.
The
and,
sea cucumber.
spikes and the sea the nudie branch. That was an interesting one as well, but obviously not within our wheelhouse
No.
or really ones
And
that were.
Bulgari, but this was ladies' watches.
It was
Yeah.
a lot of snakes,
yeah,
a lot of
serpentine.
Hey,
serpentins.
it's the year of the
Turbogas.
snake,
It
man.
It is the
Tur-
year of the
turbo
snake.
gas.
I think that's also going to be something for Bulgari to really go all in on the year of the snake.
I'm so looking forward to the big Bulgari party where Whitesnake will be performing.
Yep, white snake.
In a snake pit.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Fantastic, very on brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
My gosh. Okay, and I think that just about covers it. You've said, RJ, that your favorite was the Daniel Roth.
Yes.
Lex, do you have a favorite?
Yeah,
We're picking favorites.
Yeah,
We're doing it.
the titanium Mecha 10, the Big Bang Hublot. Yeah.
Cool.
And yours?
Yeah, I think for me it's probably the Zenith, the skeletonized Defy Skyline. It's just a good looking watch, and having had those on my wrist in the past without the skeletonization, they just feel like solid watches. And I always have time for Zenith. It's just a brand that does great stuff, great watches, and probably on a second place I would put in one of the Louis Vuitton Tyco,
Taiko Akiki.
the World Timer.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Do we have commands?
Yes, we have a comment of the week. Of course, we are back to it. And it comes from Alan Reardon, who commented on our episode about how much you should spend on a first watch, a first nice watch.
Everything
first
you
better
have,
watch.
man.
There were a lot of comments.
And a little bit more.
That was the takeaway. But Alan says, I think the price is secondary to a certain degree. It should be a watch that you'll love wearing and feel comfortable wearing.
I think that was the message.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he understood. He understood.
Thank
He
you,
picked up
Alan.
what we laid down, and yeah, thanks, Alan, for your comment. So thank you guys for joining for the episode, of course, and join us next week for another episode of Fratello Talks. See you then.